Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about something powerful, something that separates those who dream from those who achieve. It's called working hard in silence. You see, in this world of constant noise, where everybody's showing what they've got, where everybody wants to be seen, the real power lies in what's done when nobody's watching. Because true success doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't need attention. It commands it naturally through results. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about success, most people think it's about how loud you can be, how much attention you can get, or how many people know your name. But the truth is, success doesn't need to be announced. True success speaks for itself and speaks louder than any words you could ever say. You don't have to tell people what you're doing. You don't have to brag about your goals or your grind. When you put in the work, when you stay committed, when you keep showing up day after day, the results will always speak louder than your voice ever could. The people who really make it in life don't spend their time talking about how great they are. They spend their time becoming great. See, we live in a world today where everybody wants to be seen. People want to post everything they do, tell everybody what they're working on, and announce every move they make. But what happens when the results don't match the talk? When you make too much noise before you built something solid, the world starts watching, waiting, and sometimes even doubting you. But when you work quietly, when you focus on what really matters, you build strength and credibility that can't be questioned. Because when success finally shows up, it doesn't come with excuses, it comes with evidence. Evidence that you've done the work. Evidence that you didn't just talk about it, you lived it. I remember a time early in my life when I had big dreams, but nothing to show for them yet. I used to tell people what I was going to do, how I was going to make it, how big I was going to be. But I realized something very important. Every minute I spent talking about what I was going to do was a minute I wasn't doing it. So I stopped talking and started working. I started grinding when nobody was looking. I started putting in the hours, making the sacrifices, and trusting that the results would tell my story. And you know what? They did. Over time, the results began to speak so loudly that I didn't need to. When you achieve real success, you don't have to tell anybody. You walk into the room and people can feel it. They can see it in how you move, how you talk, how you carry yourself. That confidence, that peace, that power. It doesn't come from noise. It comes from work. The best feeling in the world isn't announcing your goals. It's watching people notice your growth without you saying a word. Because success has a sound all its own. It's the sound of doors opening, opportunities calling, and people recognizing your worth without you having to convince them. Working hard in silence means trusting the process. It means believing that your effort will create the life you want, even if no one else can see it yet. You don't owe the world an explanation for your grind. You don't need approval to chase your dreams. Let your consistency do the talking. Let your commitment prove your worth. When you stay humble and focused, you create something lasting, something real. Because while others are talking, you're building. While others are showing off, you're showing up. So don't worry about who's watching or who's not. Don't waste energy trying to impress people who don't matter. The real ones, the ones who understand value, will recognize it when it appears. Keep working in silence and let your success echo louder than any words could ever reach. When your results speak, they'll tell a story of perseverance, patience, and power that no one can ignore. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what true success really sounds like. Ladies and gentlemen, silence is one of the most powerful tools a person can possess. In a world filled with noise, opinions, and distractions, silence becomes a shield, a training ground, and a teacher. It is in the quiet moments where your focus sharpens, your discipline strengthens, and your character is truly built. Most people don't realize that silence isn't weakness, it's control. It's knowing when to hold back, when to observe, and when to channel your energy toward what really matters. Because the people who master silence master themselves. When you work in silence, you remove the clutter of outside voices that often cloud your judgment. You stop worrying about what people think, what they'll say, or whether they approve of your choices. In silence, there's clarity. You begin to hear your own thoughts clearly. You start to understand your direction, your purpose, your values, and once you know those, you become unshakable. The world will always have something to say, but when your mind is trained in silence, the noise around you loses its power. You can focus on your goals with precision and purpose. Discipline, too, is born in silence. It's in the early mornings when everyone else is sleeping and you're up putting in the work. It's in the late nights when no one's watching and you're still chasing excellence. Discipline doesn't need applause. It grows in the dark, in those unseen moments where your only competition is the version of yourself you were yesterday. The people who build discipline understand that success isn't about motivation, it's about consistency. And consistency thrives when you remove distractions and focus your energy in silence. Every repetition, every sacrifice, every decision to stay committed when quitting would be easier builds a kind of strength that can't be shaken by failure or fear. Character, the foundation of every great life, is also forged in silence. It's in those quiet battles no one else knows about. The moments when you could take the easy way out, but you don't. When you could talk back, but you choose patience. When you could boast, but you choose humility. Those moments define who you are far more than anything you say publicly. Because character isn't built in the spotlight, it's built in the shadows of discipline and integrity. You can't fake who you are when you're alone. Silence reveals it, shapes it, and strengthens it. When you embrace silence, you also learn emotional control. You stop reacting to everything and start responding with purpose. You begin to understand that not everything deserves your attention and not every situation needs your words. Silence teaches you wisdom, the kind of wisdom that comes from patience, reflection, and observation. The strongest people aren't the loudest ones in the room. They're the ones who can sit quietly, listen, and think before they move. That's where real power lies, in stillness, not in noise. So work in silence. Let that quiet space become your training ground. Every day you choose silence over distraction, you're building focus. Every day you choose discipline over comfort, you're building strength. And every day you choose integrity over attention, you're building character. The world may not see your work now, but it will feel the impact later. Because when you emerge from that silence, you won't just have success, you'll have focus, discipline, and the kind of strength that can't be bought or borrowed. Ladies and gentlemen, in a time when everyone wants to be seen, when people crave likes, applause, and recognition, there is something rare and powerful about working hard in silence. Real hard work doesn't beg for attention. It earns respect through results. Respect isn't something you demand, it's something you gain when people see your consistency, your dedication, and your integrity. When you put in effort day after day without needing validation, people eventually notice. They see the fruits of your labor and they respect you, not because you ask them to, but because your actions made them. When you work quietly, you separate yourself from the noise. You become the kind of person who doesn't have to talk about how hard they're working because it's written all over their achievements. The truth is, anyone can talk about what they're doing, but very few can back it up with real effort. When people see that you don't need to announce every move, that you just keep showing up and delivering results, that's when their respect for you grows. They begin to understand that your focus is not on being noticed, it's on being effective. That's the kind of focus that leads to greatness. There's a big difference between attention and respect. Attention is temporary. It fades as quickly as it comes. People might notice you for a moment, but they move on to the next thing just as fast. Respect, on the other hand, lasts. It's built over time through your work ethic, your discipline, and your consistency. You can't fake it. You can't buy it. You earn it with every long night, every early morning, every time you give your best, even when nobody is clapping. Respect comes from people watching your journey unfold and realizing how much effort you put in behind the scenes. Working hard in silence teaches humility. It reminds you that success isn't about showing off. It's about growing stronger. When you stop worrying about being seen, you start focusing on becoming better. You realize that every hour of unseen work is an investment in your future. You don't need to tell people what you're doing because you know your time will come. And when it does, when you finally reach your goals, people won't just see your success, they'll respect the grind that got you there. The quiet worker, the one who stays focused and disciplined, is often underestimated. People might overlook you at first because they don't see what's happening behind closed doors. But that's okay. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're ordinary. Because while they're watching others talk, you're busy building. While they're seeking validation, you're creating value. And when your breakthrough comes, it won't just get attention, it will demand respect. The same people who doubted you will have no choice but to admire your strength and determination. Respect comes from authenticity. People can sense when your hard work is real. They can feel it in the way you carry yourself, the confidence that comes from knowing you've earned everything you have. That kind of confidence doesn't come from applause. It comes from persistence. It comes from knowing that you've done the work, that you stayed true to your vision, and that you didn't let noise distract you. So keep your head down and work. Don't seek validation from others. Don't let the absence of attention discourage you. Remember that those who truly matter, those who understand effort and purpose, will recognize your worth in time. Hard work done quietly builds your reputation, your strength, and your legacy. Attention fades, but respect earned through dedication and silence lasts forever. And when your results finally speak, they'll speak with the kind of power that words could never match. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest lessons you can ever learn in life is to let your success make the noise, not your ego. Too many people lose themselves chasing validation, trying to prove to the world that they are worthy. But the truth is, ego speaks before the results arrive, while success speaks after the work is done. Ego wants attention right now. Success earns it when the time is right. When you let your success make the noise, you don't need to boast or seek approval. Your actions do the talking for you. Ego is loud because it's insecure. It wants to be seen before it's ready. It wants to be celebrated before it's proven anything. But real success comes from humility. It comes from keeping your head down, doing the work, and trusting that your time will come. When you let your results do the talking, people listen because they see the evidence, not the exaggeration. The ego is temporary, but success is permanent. When you build your life on effort and consistency, not pride and noise, what you create lasts far beyond the moment. I've learned that the loudest people in the room are rarely the most successful. They're usually the ones trying to convince everyone, including themselves, that they made it. But those who are truly great, the real achievers, the ones who built something valuable, they don't waste their breath bragging. They're too busy building, learning, and improving. They don't need to say, look at me, because their work naturally draws attention. When you operate from humility instead of ego, you gain something far more valuable than attention. You gain respect and influence. Ego can destroy opportunities that success could have created. When your ego gets ahead of your results, people stop believing in you. They start to see the difference between your talk and your truth. But when you stay humble, when you focus on perfecting your craft quietly, people see the authenticity in what you do. They see the dedication, the discipline, the purpose behind your journey. Success built on humility has power because it comes from a place of truth, not performance. Letting your success make the noise also means being patient. It means understanding that greatness takes time. You don't have to shout about what you're doing every step of the way. The seed doesn't scream while it's growing underground. Simply keep pushing through the dirt until one day it blooms. And when it blooms, everyone sees it. That's how success works. You keep working silently, building piece by piece until one day your results are too big to ignore. That's when the noise happens, naturally, powerfully, and without ego. When you move without ego, you attract the right kind of people, those who value effort, not show. You build connections based on respect, not competition. You inspire others, not by what you say, but by what you achieve. And the best part, you don't have to defend yourself or prove your worth. Your work, your consistency, and your results become your voice. They speak with authority because they are backed by truth. So don't let your ego rush you into announcing what isn't ready. Don't let pride push you into seeking attention before you've earned it. Stay humble, stay focused, and let your work reveal your greatness. Because when your success finally makes noise, it will be the kind of noise that shakes the world, not with arrogance, but with impact. And that's the kind of noise worth making. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest truths about success is that real growth happens when no one is watching. It's not in the spotlight, not in applause, and not in the recognition. It's in the unseen hours, the quiet work, and the moments when you could quit but choose not to. Growth is born in private, long before it's celebrated in public. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has a season of silence, a season when they had to work in the dark, stay patient, and trust that all the effort they were putting in would eventually pay off. The problem is, most people give up in that season. They want instant results, instant approval, instant progress. But growth doesn't work that way. A tree doesn't rise overnight. It spends months, sometimes years, strengthening its roots before it ever breaks through the surface. You can't rush real growth. It's slow, it's uncomfortable, and it often feels invisible. But that's where the magic happens. When you're putting in the work and nobody's clapping. When you're giving your best and no one's noticing. That's when you're building the strength, resilience, and discipline you'll need when success finally arrives. Consistency is the key that unlocks growth. It's not about doing something big once. It's about doing the small things over and over again until they become a part of who you are. The champions, the high achievers, the ones who truly win in life, they're not always the most talented, but they are the most consistent. They show up even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one is watching, because they know that every repetition, every effort, every sacrifice behind the scenes is preparing them for their moment in the light. Behind every success story, there's a quiet grind. There are long nights of practice, early mornings of preparation, and countless failures that no one ever sees. People see the victory, but they don't see the process. They see the final product, but not the effort it took to create it. That's why you must learn to love the hidden work, to take pride in the progress you make when no one else notices. Because when you work hard in private, your results will shine in public. The truth is, growth requires patience. It's about trusting the process, even when it feels like nothing is changing. You might not see results right away, but that doesn't mean your effort is wasted. Every step forward, no matter how small, adds up. Every day you stay consistent, you're getting stronger, smarter, and more prepared. And one day you'll look back and realize that all those quiet days of effort were shaping you into the person you needed to become. So don't be discouraged if no one is cheering for you right now. Don't feel small because no one notices your progress. Growth isn't supposed to be loud, it's supposed to be real. Stay consistent behind the scenes. Keep showing up when it's hard, keep working when it's quiet, and keep believing when it's slow. Because the day will come when the world finally sees what you've been building all along. And when that moment arrives, your growth will speak for itself. It will speak of the discipline, patience, and faith that got you there. That's the beauty of working in silence. You might grow unnoticed, but you'll bloom unforgettable. Ladies and gentlemen, in a world where everyone seems to be talking, posting, and showing off, humility and persistence have become rare. And that's exactly why they're so powerful. There is a quiet strength in a person who doesn't need to announce their every move, who chooses to stay grounded while everyone else is shouting for attention. Humility doesn't mean you think less of yourself. It means you understand your worth without needing to prove it. And when you combine that humility with persistence, you become unstoppable. Because talk can impress for a moment, but consistency and effort earn respect that lasts a lifetime. Empty talk is easy. Anyone can say they're going to do something. Anyone can make promises, post motivational quotes, or tell people about their dreams. But words without action are hollow. They sound good, but they don't move you forward. Persistence, on the other hand, doesn't need to be announced. It's lived. It's waking up every day and doing the work even when you're tired, even when it's hard, even when no one believes in you. That's the difference between dreamers and doers. Dreamers talk about it. Doers quietly work for it. Humility keeps you teachable. It reminds you that no matter how much you've achieved, there's always room to learn, always room to grow. The most successful people in the world never let their pride stop them from improving. They listen more than they speak, they observe more than they boast, and they let their results do the talking. A humble person doesn't need validation from others. They get satisfaction from progress, not praise. And when you live that way, people notice. They admire your strength without you ever asking for it. Persistence is the heartbeat of success. It's not about never failing. It's about never quitting. You can fall 10 times, but if you stand up 11, that's persistence. Every step you take in silence, every moment you refuse to give up, builds a kind of power that no amount of talk can match. Persistence means showing up when it's inconvenient, pushing through when it's uncomfortable, and staying focused when distractions try to pull you away. That's how you separate yourself from those who only talk about success. You live it. One quiet step at a time. The combination of humility and persistence creates a kind of greatness that's impossible to ignore. When you're humble, you stay open to learning. When you're persistent, you keep applying what you've learned. Over time, those two qualities shape you into someone who doesn't need to talk about being successful. You simply are. People can feel your work ethic. They can sense your discipline. And that kind of power doesn't come from ego. It comes from effort. When you live with humility, you stop wasting energy on proving yourself to others. When you live with persistence, you stop waiting for motivation and start creating results. Together, they build a foundation that no storm can shake. Empty talk fades with time, but the impact of a humble, consistent worker only grows stronger. You become a living example of what it means to stay true to your path, to believe in your purpose without showing off, to keep moving forward without demanding recognition. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember this. Humility and persistence will always outshine empty talk. Let others waste their breath trying to impress. You just keep working, keep improving, keep going, Because when your time comes, and it will, your actions will speak louder than any words ever could. The world doesn't need to hear your promises. It needs to see your progress. And when it does, your quiet strength will echo louder than all the noise around you.